morning, people. Good morning, Vaishnavi. Good morning, Gayatri. I see two of you all. Oh, many more now. Nisha Kadu, Mitkari, Aditi, and all. Welcome to this session. Today, I suppose, is our first lecture. I'll just shut off the voice here. Welcome to this session. Today, I suppose, is our first lecture. I'll just shut off the voice here. Well, sorry for that disturbance. And I see that quite a few of you all have joined. By the time I was switching off the mic for, or rather the speaker for my mobile phone. To start with, the bulletin. Yesterday, we had a message on the group regarding some scholarship. And one of us had posted in that, and that post was completely in Marathi, and some of non-Maharashtrian students were asking about it. I had requested some of you all to please look into the matter and give the gist of it, at least the link and etc. in English if possible. I have not received any response on that, so I would once again request you all to any one of you all could just go through that scholarship notice. Anyone who knows Marathi, of course, and having seen through that, you could just type the gist of it in English and let us, all of us, know in the group as well, so that it could be for the benefit of every one of us. So that was the first thing. The second thing is a few students have been asking about when the college stores is open so that they can come down. I would request you all not to come down to the college. Yes, we have a college store which will have the so-called books for you all, and a number of subject teachers have asked you all to buy it from the college stores. But the buying means whenever the college starts on campus. It is not necessary right now that you come down to the college in all this COVID situation and purchase your books from the store as such. In fact, I would advise you all not to go around for any books anywhere, not even to the ABC, the Upper Bodwan Chowk in Pune, who collect your books. Wait for some time, let things settle down, and we will start addressing to that issue of getting your books after some time. Let us not hurry up with that right now. Then I had told you all that the notice of subject change and medium change is going to come up. Yes, we are still into the process of making that notice, and it will be a Google form for those who would be required or those who want to change their subject. But there are some restrictions. Let me give you some highlights about that. In short, you would not be allowed to change two subjects like economics, politics, and history. The reason being that it's not that we don't want you to take these subjects, but the reason being that the capacity of these subjects has already been full. So there is no chance that you would get your option into these subjects. Any other subjects are welcome. Sociology, if you want to shift to sociology, yes, you would get it, say, across the table, basically, because we still have vacancies, some vacancies, of course, in sociology as well. Other subjects with smaller numbers of, say, students in those subjects, yes, you can always have that. Again, medium change, nobody would be allowed to change from Marathi to English. Please note that. You can change from English to Marathi. The reason being the same, that we are already full with the number of students that are permitted by the authorities in the sense, government authorities in the respective divisions. After that, the Google form will also ask you, some students believe or they have a feeling, or they have actually some, not many, they have a problem with regards their subjects, basically because they are not knowing how many subjects they were supposed to take, and they may have forgotten to tick a few subjects. Of course, we have also looked into it, but there could be some students who rather have not opted for all the subjects. Now, let me tell you that you are supposed to select the first, you were supposed to select the first group, which has compulsory English, which has democracy, and which has physical education. The second group was the language subjects, Hindi, Marathi, Sanskrit, and German, I suppose. And then you had your optionals. Outside that, optional English was one of them. And then you had these other groups. You had a choice within the group. You cannot select two subjects from one particular group. So in case you have messed up with this, we would be giving you a chance. The Google form, as I said, would come up today or tomorrow. Sorry, not tomorrow. Tomorrow being a Sunday, possibly we should see it come up by Monday or maximum Tuesday as such. The fact that you are going to fill the Google form does not guarantee you a change of subject, because as I said, that in spite of my advising you, you could want a few subjects, but then we would not have vacancies in those subjects. So some of the requests cannot, all of the requests cannot be accepted if they are beyond our scope of admission. Medium, again, I've said that you cannot shift from Marathi to English, but you can shift from English to Marathi. As far as choice of language in exam is concerned, we leave it to you all. So it hardly matters whether you are attending a particular language. Some students are also asking about the divisions, and I saw messages earlier that certain divisions are for English medium and certain divisions are not for English medium. Don't worry about that. We have already created groups for the respective mediums for the respective subjects. So as far as you feel free, as far as you are comfortable, you feel free to join the respective groups, except for certain subjects with larger number, particularly compulsory English. You will have to attend your lectures as per your division, but most of the other subjects, you can just join the group and you can attend your lectures accordingly. So that is one more thing that I wanted to share with you all as far as the college bulletin is concerned. The next thing, I wanted to correct a few things that I had missed in the earlier lectures, and that is why I feel I should be discussing that before we go into what we had planned to discuss for today. The first thing was that in the first lecture, I spoke about, first or second lecture, I spoke about the Tista River and that it has been shifting. Once upon a time, it was a tributary of the Ganga, and presently it's the tributary of the Brahmaputra. At some point of time, I will give you the reason why the Tista as a river has shifted so rapidly from being a tributary of the Ganga to the Brahmaputra. Now, having said that, I had asked you all to just check where the Tista River was. Some of the students had posted that it is in Tamil Nadu. Now, please understand that we were speaking about it being the tributary of the Ganga earlier and the Brahmaputra presently. So it is so very logical that it is not somewhere in Tamil Nadu or Kerala. It is in fact in West Bengal. So that was about the Tista River I was supposed to be clarifying. Then a mistake on my side with regards to the age of the Earth. One of the students that day had posted that the age of the Earth was 6.543 billion years and so on and so about around that. And I kept on saying through my lecture that the age of the Earth is 5.8 billion years. My correction, my fault. It is not 5.8 billion years. It is 5.6 billion years. I don't know how I forgot this, basically because that 0.6 is a very interesting development, I would say, as far as evolution of life on the Earth, visible life, I would rather say, on the surface of the Earth. So 5.6 is the corrected age, corrected in the sense we have corrected it. I had stated it wrongly the other day that it was 5.8 billion years. It's 5.6 billion years. I stand corrected. And as I said, that people at times claim that it is 5.5 point something, and it is approximated at around 5.6 billion years. That reminds me another thing. Yeah, I had tongue twisted myself in the in taking the name of the person who for the first time coined the term geography. It is Eratosthenes, and I repeat again, it is Eratosthenes. and this was way back 250 years before Christ. So that is another correction that I was supposed to come up with. Coming back to the age of the earth, and during that I had also said I had corrected it later, but then it so happens that at some point of time you are concentrating more and something gets into your mind at that particular point of time, and though there is a correction later, you tend to carry the earlier number. So I again want to clarify that when I was referring to man's existence on this planet, I missed out and I said that it is 50 million years. Sorry, it is not 50 million years. It is 5 million years. And I should be correcting myself. 5 million years are equivalent to 50 lakh years. So possibly that was the problem I had. I had lakhs in mind, and I unfortunately said 50 million. It is not 50 million. It is 5 million years that man has been on this planet, and which equates to 50 lakh of years. That reminds me of a very popular confusion that Indians have in their mind. When we count numbers, normally in India, and more commonly when we speak about corruption somewhere, we speak about corruption happening in lakhs and crores. But when you look for some figures on the net, normally internet, normally these numbers are referred to in millions and billions. And I had this problem, and I believe many of us would be having that problem, that a confusion rather between how to switch between millions and billions. I have devised a very simple way of keeping in tune with these numbers, that is how to shift from millions to billions. I'll first speak about the international way in which numbers you find on the net. You'll see that if you concentrate on those numbers, it is a pack of three. In the sense, it starts with 1,000. 1,000 is one with three zeros. A million is one with six zeros. A billion is one with nine zeros. And a trillion is one with 12 zeros. So it's in multiples of three: 1,000, a million, a billion, and a trillion. We are speaking about India going for being a trillion economy very soon. So in that sense, I repeat, 1,000 is three zeros, million is six zeros, sorry, a billion is nine zeros, and so when we say we are around 1 billion plus, I say we are 1 plus that nine zeros added to the total population. The population of the world is 7 billion plus, so it's 7 and those nine zeros added to that. So I feel you are comfortable with these numbers. Say multiples of 3, that's 3 zeros, 1,000, 6 zeros, million, 9 zeros is going to be billion, and 12 zeros is going to be trillion. So when I'm speaking about a billion years, it is one with nine zeros added to that. So the age of the earth is 4.9, say nine zeros added to that. In fact, if we need to correct us further, to be more precise, it is 4.6, and then obviously you're going to have 8 zeros to that. And when we write them also, we write in threes. So we put a three, say we put 1,000, we put a comma, then we write three zeros, we put a comma, and then we once again put three zeros. And of course, if we need to continue further, it's multiples of three, let me tell you, as far as international counting is concerned. But India always has also maintained its own course of counting. And as I said, we have rather the lakhs and crores. Now, if you match these two sequences, let me tell you that 1 lakh has how many zeros? It is going to have 5 zeros. Just let me confirm so that I don't. Yeah, 1 lakh is going to have 5 zeros, and 1 crore is going to have 7 zeros. So, an easy way to remember it to start with is that the international way has even number, odd, these 6 zeros is an even figure, and the lakhs and crores are more associated around this million, and that is why an easy way of distinguishing between million on an international level and lakhs and crores on a national level is that millions is 6 zeros, that is an even number, and lakhs and crores is an odd number. That's 5 zeros for lakhs and 7 zeros for crores. Now, how does the conversion take place? So you'll see that if I'm speaking about 100 million years, how do I convert them into lakhs? You'll see that when I am moving from millions to lakhs, an easy thing I have to do is I have to add 1 zero. Okay, this is a bit confusing, but once you understand it, it is very easy, let me tell you. So if I have 100 million, I will be when I want to shift it to lakhs, I need to add 1 zero to that. So 100 millions is equal to 1,000 lakhs. Got it? 100 million is equal to 1,000 lakhs. So I've added 1 zero to millions, and that is what I get as far as how many lakhs would 100 million be. Now, similarly, shifting it from 1 million to the number of crores, keeping the numbers same. If we say we have 100 million, if I want to shift it to crores, 100 million, you cut 1 zero from that. Okay, so 100 million is going to be 10 crores. So shifting from million this side and that side is just a matter of removing 1 zero and adding 1 zero. So if I want to transfer million to crores, I remove a zero. And if I want to transfer million into lakhs, I add a zero to the said number. Okay, so that's a very easy explanation to how we understand between lakhs, millions, and crores. Once again, finally, I repeat that shifting from millions to lakhs is adding a zero. Shifting of millions to crores is minusing a zero from the number of zeros as such. So lakhs will have 5 zeros, millions will have 6 zeros, and crores will have 7 zeros in all. Okay, so that is an easy way to remember. I'm going to come up with one more thing later if we reach to that. Then coming to a few things that I had assured you all that we would be taking it up as a matter of learning today. I am sorry we will not be able to take both of them. If you remember what I was referring to, it is basically the fact that I said that somebody had asked how do we go about referencing and all. So I'm going to do that. But as far as MOOCs is concerned, say given the number of time or the amount of time that I would be requiring to explain MOOCs, I would be requiring more time. So I believe we should plan it for the next Thursday rather than taking it today and trying to pack a lot of things in one bag for the day as such. We'll take up a lot of things that need to be corrected and resaid with regards the earlier lecture and the lecture before that. So those corrections we'll take up today as far as information about MOOCs is concerned. And it does not matter much if we take it today or if we take it on Thursday. The amount of information is needs to be clear rather than trying to pack a lot of things. Next Thursday, let me assure you, we will devote larger of the time to understanding what MOOCs are, what is the purpose of MOOCs, and how can students of arts or any student, as a matter of fact, take up. What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? I had say a PPT of around 70 slides for MOOCs, but I tried to cut down a lot of slides. In spite of that, I was left with around 10 to 12 important slides, and I believe that I would not be in a position to complete those 12, explaining rather those 12 slides. So I have say suggested that we should be taking it on Thursday rather than trying to fix it up today. Anyway, going back to references, I would show you. Now, this is one of the books. Now, this is a book on oceanography that I have with me. Now, I believe you can see that. I'll try to hold it. Now, this is the first page. Normally, all books obviously have that. And then you have other books. This is a beautiful book. I'll try to post a PDF of that. And then you have contents here. Okay, these could be this is the contents page. Okay, now all books have the contents page, and that is first thing we have to remember. Then of course you have the whole book as such, and then I would like to take you to the rear side of the book. Normally, reference books on the rear sides have two things. One of the things is a glossary. Now, what is a glossary? You can see that it's the term that has it's basically the list of terms that have been used in the book, and they tend to arrange it alphabetically. Okay, that is one thing. But when it comes to referencing, I want to uh, let you all understand one more thing. We come to what is called as an index. Here it is. This is an index, and this again is also, let me tell you, alphabetically arranged. There is one more thing on this index. I don't know whether you would be able to see this, but near the name of every term, you would have a number. Now, what is this number? This number is basically the page on which you will find that particular term. And this is a very interesting way to handle books with very large number of pages. Okay, because it's out of bounds, and of course, for undergraduate students studying in first year, it is out of your syllabus also to go through all that book. So one of y'all had rightly asked me last lecture that, sir, how do we go about referencing? And as I said, this referencing could be followed not only for geography, for any other subject. It is a standard method. Now, how do I go about referencing? The teacher says that, okay, this is your reference book, and you should be using it. It is advisable that you use this reference book for my subject, and so on and so forth. What do you do? First thing is, as I said, I have given you the drive. You have to download that if for your reference, because there is one thing that is coming up as far as Google Drive is concerned. They are passing on a message that from 13th October, if I'm not mistaken, from 13th October, whatever you store on your respective Google Drive will stay there only for 30 days. So if I have given you the link of Strahler, Physical Geography by Strahler, and you have it you have stored the link, but that link is not going to be of any use once the storing time of my book on my drive exceeds 30 days. So if it is beyond 30 days, even if you have the link, Google is going to delete that from my drive. So even if you have that link, it is not going to be any use for you after 30 days. So my advice is, any reference book that has been, I have given you one, and that has been given to you in the form of it being in Google Drive, and you have the link of it, you download that in some place. It could be your laptop, it could be your desktop, or nowadays even mobile phones have a very large memory, so you could store it in that as well. So to start with, make it a habit that don't keep your material on your drives now. It is not going to be there for more than 30 days. That is uh, something that I wanted to advise you all. I was interrupted basically because of a very interesting comment that Sandeep Mule has posted on the chat box. And he says, Sir, English Marathi good dictionary for geography. I'll come to that as well. First, let us speak about the reference book also. Yes, that's a very good point made. I'll come to that. As far as the referencing now is concerned, you have the book on your drive. You have downloaded it where you are going to keep it now as a reference for any time. Now, the next thing you need is the syllabus of the paper that you are studying, of the respective subject. You have to know at least the syllabus, even if you don't by heart it. I normally tell students that the subject you love, you have to know the syllabus of it by heart. But of course, that's one part of it. Even if you don't by heart it, it hardly matters. But you need to know that if that term comes in front of you at any point of time, you should at least have it in mind that I think this is there in my syllabus. So you need to be aware of your syllabus to that extent. Now you have the book in, you have the link, you have downloaded the book, reference book that is, and now you have the syllabus. You go through the syllabus topic by topic. You select a particular topic, and don't go to the front side of the book and look for it in the content as such. I would suggest you go toward the rear side of the book, go to the index. Okay, go to the glossary if you want to first check whether what that particular term means, and if you're fortunate enough you would have that term in the glossary as well. You could just go alphabetically search for that term, try to understand the meaning of that. If you want an elaborate explanation to the term in the glossary, what we should be doing is go to the index, find that word. Again, finding it is not difficult. If it is there in the book, it is going to be there in the index, let me tell you. And you'll have the number of pages, the pages, numbered pages on which you will have that particular term. Now, if I'm referring to a book on climatology, let me assure you that the term climatology in index will have n number of pages, and you'll see, and let me tell you that pains are taken to actually mention each of the pages where you would have that word. So you look for that, you find that page. Okay, that particular word is on page number 209. You go to 209 and you'll have the explanation, or you'll have that particular word. If it is a core term, of course it will start with a para and then you'll have an explanation about that. If it is a supplementing term, it will be within the para, but it will surely be there in that particular, on that particular page. So that is how you go about referencing. Okay, see that you have the reference book, see that you have the, you download it first, see that you have your syllabus, you know your syllabus well, look for the terms in the syllabus, go to the reference book, go to the index side of the reference book, identify the word, check for the page, numbered page on which you, they say you are going to find this particular word. You go to that particular page, find that word, and of course you can read through that. I'll just go through. Ayush says that, sir, only if we move the file or PDF into trash bin of our drive, then Google is going to delete it, not if we store it. Okay, if that is there, then it's going to be good news. But if they are going to delete it right away, it's going to be a difficult thing. But as Ayush says that it's, oh, if we shift it to trash, then it's no matter. But let us have it as an habit that at least reference book, and let me tell you, each subject does not have more than 2 reference book, at least at the UG first year level. So 2 books per subject, you could just download and keep it for your ready reference as such. The advantage of downloading it is, if I want to go to my drive, I need to have an internet connection. During the peak hours of the day, we know that in India, anywhere in India, we have problems as far as bandwidth is concerned, the speed of the net is concerned. So it is always advisable that we download it. And as he says, if it is not going to be from the overall drive, this is going to be fantastic news. I'll recheck it at my end also. So that is as far as referencing is concerned. I hope you all have understood as to how we should be going about referencing. If not, you could just post your questions in the chat box, or you could also post your questions in the WhatsApp, and I could take it from there also and address to those queries in my next session. So that is as far as referencing is concerned. This was something new. I go back to something which is old. One student last time had asked me the question, what is the difference between equinox and a solstice? I would like you all to imagine again those photographs. Niharika says, how are we supposed to make our notes? Yes, I'll come to that as well. I'll keep this point in mind, and slowly I will let you know how you are supposed to make your notes as well. Just to say that the reason I don't give you notes is I am a firm believer that every individual has his, her own way of studying and making notes. So I will guide you as to how notes are to be prepared. I would refrain myself from giving notes, particularly your generation, because what I would be giving as notes is already available on the internet. You go to Wikipedia, you go to Google, you have lots of information. I would like to uh, profess about the subject more rather than giving you notes in any form as such. Anyway, coming back to the fact that a student had asked me, I forget her name, it's the difference between an equinox and a solstice. Let us go by term. Equinox. Nox means light. Nox means light. You have this multiplex chain by the name equinox. Nox is basically light. Sorry, inox, not equinox. Sorry. Uh, that is, you see light from your eyes. That is what it means, inox. Now, equinox obviously is going to be, you're going to see equal light. Now, in the terms of geography, what does this mean that you're going to see equal light? Equal light, like it happened on 22nd of September, just a few days ago, that we were supposed to have 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of night time. That's 12 hours of day and 12 hours of night, perfectly dividing the 24 hours, and that is called as an equinox. Now, there is a catch here. Let me also tell you that while we say that there is supposed to be 12 hours of day and 12 hours of night, we are here meaning the sunrise time and the sunset time, because you'll see that during the phase of dawn, early morning, that's before sunrise, and during the phase of twilight, that is after the sunset, you still see light. So day is basically where the sun rises and night starts when the sun sets. Now again, there are differences as to what do you call as a sunrise, whether you see the first glimpse of that tinge of light of the sun over the above the horizon, or you wait for the half of the sun to come above the horizon, or you wait for whole of the sun to rise above the horizon. uh, there are difference of opinion, and there is an interesting aspect that goes with that. uh, I will leave you with this question, that we changed our census moment. I want you all to look into what is the census moment, moment, and what was this change in the census moment that we brought about, say a couple of census ago. For that, I assume you know what census is. If you're not knowing that, you have to go into that, read about census. It's very interesting. And again, it's something of general knowledge, but we study intensively in geography, in population geography particularly. So sunrise is with related to that, and day and night also. Sunrise and sunset. When the sun rises, the day starts. When the sun sets, the night starts. So we are assuming that because, as I've already said, that dawn is where the sun has not risen, but you still see light, and twilight is the sunset, has set rather, but you still see light. And the explanation to why this happens is in climatology. The second unit, I suppose, second or third unit of our syllabus, we are going to do that. Okay, the atmosphere plays a very important role in this, and I don't want to confuse you further. I will just say that we'll do this when we are going to attend to our lectures on climatology. Very interesting and fantastic information we would be sharing there. Coming back to the fact that equinox, equal time from sunrise to sunset. That means you leave equal time from sunset to the next sunrise. So the day and the night tend to be equal. I have posted photographs or screenshots rather of different cities on that particular day in our group, also showing the sunrise and sunset. Mathematically, it is not perfectly 12 hours. Now, there are different reasons to that, and the inclination in the Earth's axis and the surface. And of course, the local standard times for respective countries also play an important role in that. That's for some other day. Solstice. Now, solstice positions are two. As I said, there are four positions. Two are equinox positions, and the other two are solstice positions. Now, these positions occur basically because of one thing, which those of who have taken the pains to go to the net and search for Milankovitch cycles and the climate change that he speaks about. One of the things that he speaks about in his explanation or his cycles about uh, climate change is the tilt in the axis of the Earth. Many of us or rather all of us as geographers need to know that the tilt in the axis of the Earth is 23.5 degrees. And this tilt presently is 23.5 degrees. Milankovitch says that it varies between 22 degrees and 40 or 24 degrees. So the Earth has been tilting on its axis between 22 degrees and 24 degrees. This means that the axis has never gone below 22 and it has never gone beyond 24. There is a geographical explanation to this, and I want you all to just check around what is the significance of this 23.5, this tilt in the 23.5 degrees. Coming to the solstice positions, as the Earth goes around the sun for those 365 days, and the other day I said that this 365 days, it is traveling at a very fast speed as it has to cover billions of kilometers. Now, let me say this is a pen. Now, if the axis had been straight, and if the Earth's axis, if this is the sun and the Earth had been going around the sun like this would not have been a problem. In that case, let me tell you, it would have been equinox for all the places on all around the Earth throughout the year. What makes it interesting is that the axis is tilted rather than being straight. Get it? It's tilted at 23.5. So what does this tilt do? You'll see that in this tilt now, if this is the sun and this is the Earth and this is the South Pole and this is the North Pole of the Earth, what happens on this day, in this position, let me tell you, the South Pole is facing the sun, isn't it? And the North Pole is away from the sun. So this is called as the winter solstice, where the southern pole is nearer to the sun and the northern pole is away from the sun. What does this also geographically say? That on this day, this is 22nd or 23rd of December, I'm not very sure, but it's one of those 2 days. So on this day, the sun's rays are going to be perpendicular on 23.5 degrees south, that is the Tropic of Capricorn. And then the Earth starts moving away from it. And then it comes to this position. This is the equinox position. Then the Earth moves to this particular position. Now, what has happened in this position? The sun is now nearer to the North Pole and not the South Pole. This happens in June 21st of June. Okay, that the North Pole is near facing the sun, and it's interesting to note that on this day again, that the sun's rays will be now perpendicular on which latitude? It's going to be perpendicular on 23.5 degrees north latitude. That's the Tropic of Cancer. So perpendicular Tropic of Cancer, perpendicular Tropic of Capricorn. And which latitude is this? 23.5 degrees. So is there some mathematical correlation between this 23.5 and actually this angle in the tilt being 23.5? Is another very interesting thing to analyze, and we're going to come to that also. Okay, in fact, you have done this in your geography classes, and I want you all to revise this and let me know what exactly happens, what is the connection between the tilt and the perpendicularity of the sun's rays rather on these respective latitudes. There's a question Anushka asks. She says that if the axis was straight, how would it affect the seasons? We would not have had seasons if the axis would have been straight, let me tell you. It's because the axis is tilted that you have seasons. Okay, mark this in your mind. If the axis would have been straight, there would not have been seasons. By the way, different planets, okay, and this is available in encyclopedia as well. Different planets have different angles in axis. I can tell you a couple of planets have their axis literally this way and not this way. I want you all to just check into which are those planets which have the axis this way. Okay, so the planet revolves like this. Okay, there is one which has like this also, but majority of the planets in the solar system have it tilted just around the vertical and not the horizontal. So this is again very interesting to note. I would advise you all to, I would persuade you all to go and check this information with regards to different planets and their axis is concerned. Now, coming back to the question we were referring to, I said this was the sun, this was the summer position, let me say, and this is the winter position. A question would be, why is this called as the winter solstice and why is this called as the summer solstice? The reason being that the northern hemisphere has a larger number of population, one larger number of land surface of this planet in the northern hemisphere. The southern hemisphere has lesser number of population. It also has lesser number of land area. So it's a convention. There is no hard and fast rule, but it is convention that when scientists started speaking about the summer solstice and winter solstice, when they said winter solstice, they meant that the southern pole is facing the sun. And when they meant summer solstice, they meant that the northern pole is facing the sun. So this is the winter solstice, 22nd, 23rd of December. This is the summer solstice, 22nd of June, 21st, 22nd of June. I would like to remind you all that these are moments. The whole day, the Earth does not waste its time the whole day staying there. Now coming to the intermediary positions, that from moving from this point to this point, that is going to be, so if this is December, it takes 3 months to go here. So this is going to be March, and April, May, June is where it comes here. And as far as September, that's what happened a couple of days ago. The Earth was in this position. What is the difference between these positions and these positions? The difference is that the axis in these conditions was tilted towards the sun. Here the south pole is tilted, here the north pole is tilted. On the other hand, in these positions, the axis does not tilt towards the sun. The axis remains parallel to the sun. The axis remains parallel to the sun. And that is why, because of this parallel, and that is why I said that if the axis had been straight, it would have stayed parallel throughout the year. If it had stayed parallel throughout the year, the day, okay, and the night would have been the same to all the locations on the surface. So nature has provided us with this advantage that being tilted. Now, there are going to be two locations where it is one pole is tilted towards the sun, and this position where the other pole is tilted towards the sun. And then you have this March position and the September position where the axis is literally parallel to the sun. Now, this parallel aspect of the sun leads to the fact to having these days being called as equinox positions of the sun, of the earth, while it is moving around the sun. Equinox means it is understood that on these days, approximately the duration of the daytime and the nighttime are going to be equal. Okay, and it's very interesting to note, I did make these notifications this year, that if the place is nearer to the equator, okay, you'll see that the difference between, say, the day before and the day after is very less. But if the difference is much larger, say I'm taking a place somewhere near North Pole and somewhere near the South Pole, then the difference within days, it starts, say, decreasing or increasing. The nighttime, daytime starts decreasing or increasing respectively in the respective hemispheres very fast. In fact, I have been noting this for the Halley's research station, which is the British research station on the Antarctic continent. I will post screenshots of that in our group. You could just relate to the post I had put on that particular day, select that particular photograph and see the sunrise and sunset on that day and a couple of days. It's just 4 days past, right? Today is what, 26th, and this happened on the 22nd. So within 4 days, you can see from nearly being 12 hours, it has changed significantly, particularly this because it's nearer to the pole, South Pole particularly as such. So the difference between solstice and equinox positions is on equinox positions, that is, remember, this is March and September, the duration of the day and the night, okay, day and the night, okay, meaning sunrise and sunset, and not the daylight as such, is more or less approximately very near to 12 hours. That also means that these two positions, that summer solstice and winter solstice as such, will have some significance as far as their daytime is concerned. I would leave you with another question as to what would be the daytimes and night times with reference to these two, summer equinox and, sorry, not summer equinox, sorry, summer solstice and winter solstice as such. There's an interesting question which reads, what is a vernal equinox? Now you'll see that because the equinox tended to be similar, okay, so they had to be named accordingly. So vernal equinox is also called as the spring equinox. So if you're moving towards the spring, you call it as vernal equinox. If the respective hemisphere is moving towards the autumn, then it is called as the autumn equinox also. So that is the difference. Okay. Now, vernal and autumn equinox is again with reference to the northern hemisphere. So when I'm saying autumn equinox, that means northern hemisphere is moving towards the autumn of the northern hemisphere. When I'm saying vernal equinox, that means the northern hemisphere is moving towards its springtime or summertime as such. So that is the difference between equinox and solstice. I would again request you all those who have still not read through the Milankovitch cycles, extremely interesting and important, basically because that is the cause. Okay, when I ask students what is climate change, many of the students say that it is this, it is that. Now you have to say, understand what is the cause and what is the effect. Okay, when you say melting, climate change is not melting of ice. Melting of ice is in fact an effect of climate change. So this is the difference between effect. What causes climate change and what is actually the effect of climate change. So Milankovitch cycles is something that causes climate change, and melting of ice is effect of climate change. And when I say cycle, okay, there is a reason behind this as to why Milankovitch calls these as cycles, because they repeat. A cycle is a repetition, so it's a repetition. Okay, sometime in next week or the week after that, we need to go into the details of this climate change and what Milankovitch had to say. By that time, keep reading and try to understand what all this is about and around. We have just around 3 minutes to finish the lecture. I will see if I can yeah, address one more thing. There was one more comment, is why is this contradicting statement allowed in our books, is what one of the students said, that equinox 12 hours, 12 hours of day, 12 hours of night, and the solstice positions wherein you say that the North Pole has 24 hours of day during summer and 24 hours of night during winter. Remember, I again said that it is a matter of scale, and I think I told you all what how scale is an important concept in geography. For small kids, we did not want to confuse them. Possibly, yes, possibly it is time now that we need to correct our texts accordingly, because we say that kids are now smart. So now that they need to know that these four positions are moments in time and not the whole day. As I've already been saying, that the earth does not wait there for the whole day and then, okay, we'll move ahead the next day. It does not happen that. The earth is continuously traveling at a very fast pace. And these are moments. So possibly it's time that we need to correct this in our textbooks. But at higher levels, we need to understand that we don't have to keep it the whole day. It's actually some, in fact, it could be some seconds, if not minutes. Okay, it's just some seconds. There is Rameshwar says that the time or date twice a year at which the sun crosses the celestial equator when day and night are equal. That's about September 23rd and March 21st. Yes, the dates are here now. September 23rd, but this year, okay, Google had announced that it was 22nd of September, and it keeps on changing. Let me tell you why this changes. Again, that's to do with a GIF that somebody had posted yesterday. That's a very interesting thing that I wanted to close with. The fact that the Earth is moving around the sun, and uh, say the orbit, it's not a perfect circle, and it keeps on dangling and changing. So that is another thing that Milankovitch speaks about. So that's another interesting thing which relates to climate change and Milankovitch. Uh, that's all I suppose we have time for. Coming back to the fact, the contradictory. To date, let us say this contradiction is fine for smaller classes, but as we go into higher classes, we need to apply precision. And that is why when students ask me as to, sir, why is it that we have geography of India so many times, we do it in fifth standard, and we do it in eighth standard, and we do it in 10th standard, and we have it in 12th standard, and you have optional papers in undergraduate also. The reason for that being that a fifth standard textbook doing geography of India is going to be very simple. The complexity increases by the time you come to 8th. It is further increased by the time you come to 10th and further till 12th. And of course, undergraduate courses, it has to be at a complex level. You have to understand India and the regional aspects of India at a higher level. So that is why. And another reason, it's a matter of convenience for 10th standard, keeping it for 10th standard and 12th standard. Of course, the new education policy, it may change, but because students shift boards, they shift places, they shift colleges and schools after 10th and after 12th, you'll see that because this is a board exam, this is a public exam, they needed to have a common syllabus. And one thing that is common for India is in geography is if you needed to study India, geographically, geography of India would be a very advisable paper. Similarly, you'll see that as far as history is concerned, national movement is something which is common. Okay, you may do ancient India, you may do medieval India, and you'll do world history in other classes. But when it comes to these, you have the national movement. So I believe you have understood the philosophy why they keep these these papers in these respective subjects for those respective years, which we also call as the board years. So as I said, that is all we have time for today. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend. Stay safe and stay away from Corona. Thank you very much. That's all for today.